G'day, welcome back to my workbench. Thought it was about time I did an update on the St. Louis, and it looks like I've done nothing. No, well actually, this is the starboard side. Previously, I had done the port side, so all of this work has now been duplicated on the starboard side. All of the wood effects and the painting the fleur-de-lis and all those sort of things, they've been done. Now I've also tried to add this silly thing. It doesn't really fit. I'm a bit annoyed about that. What I have done that's turned out rather nicely is I have painted the stern piece, the transom. So I use my Posca pens to get in there and pick out the angels. I might still do a little more work on that. I'm very happy with how those LED-like windows turned out. They're all picked out with Posca pens. So that was good. Go back and watch the video on Posca pens if you want to see what I did there. But this I am not happy with at all. It hides all that lovely sort of deck that I made, and the cannons won't be seen. And really, I know I kept saying it was just for the wine and cheese. This is actually there when they are fighting. It is to protect and secure the cannon deck. Well, if they're not fighting and they're just sailing around, they don't need it. Oh, look, I've opened up the deck. Yeah, that whole deck area there is now open. I'll be able to put cannons all the way through, and I scratch built this little piece, so I'll show you how I've done that. I also made ladders here at the stern. They're all little scratch ladders that I made. I've done a lot of work actually. I've even started working on the this bulkhead, and I've made some doors for it. Would you like to see all the fiddly little things that I've done on this ship? You would? All right, roll the music. Now the starboard side was painted pretty well the same as the port side, but because I had learnt my lesson, I deleted a few steps and got it done a lot faster. So here's the sequence. This time I went straight in with the masking and painting that whole top section blue. Didn't worry about doing anything else. And then I keyed in and painted the little reddy brown areas. Then I came in with the wood effects. Haven't even touched the Posca pens at this point. It was only after all the areas are blocked in, I ran the Posca pens along and I picked out all the fleur-de-lis. That was much faster, much easier, and it worked out well. Now the process to extend that gun deck was to simply work out by measuring the size I needed to add on, then glue it, clamp it, add a little bit underneath to sort of hold it in place, and that fitted perfectly. First go, I was quite surprised. Now, I needed a new bulkhead. So rather than ruin the one I had, I decided I'd make one absolutely from scratch, but that sort of ended up with a bit of a bloodletting. But nevertheless, I went through, I drilled out the pieces, I cut things out, shaped and sanded, and there you go. I made the piece that I needed to actually have an open gun deck. While I was doing that, I also started knocking out some doors, but I'll talk about those next time. After I'd finished fabricating that deck extension, I really needed to plank it. So let's have a look now at the process I used to plank that deck extension. It needed filing to match the contours of the deck and make sure it'd be seamless for the planks to go through. And I also needed to prime everything. I first tried to plank without priming, but the chocolate of the plastic and the white of the extension bled through and looked horrible. It's easy when you're running up against a long plank, so this one here is the full length. So I can just butt another one the full length to it. So just like I did in the previous video, if you haven't seen that, go back and watch it. Cut my planks out of the sheet. They're self-adhesive, so they go on very easily. And that will just butt join to there. Ideally, I should have put that strip in there first, which I'll do now. Otherwise, you end up with lots of curves and wobbles and plank drift. I mean, you get plank drift anyway, but the idea is, you mark from the centre, you mark a centre line and you work out, which is what I've already done. So at least the centre of your planks are straight, and then they go out to the whole sides, which are always curved anyway, so if you're a little bit out, it doesn't matter. The eye doesn't notice because it's centred. The centre planks are correct. So that looks fine there. And what I use constantly in my planking is a rule to make sure they're pushed up hard and they're nice and straight. So that's good. So that one was easy. But when I get to this one, it has to stagger in if I want to continue the pattern. Otherwise, I'm going to have this butt joint all the way through. So I'm going to need to cut that one out. But that's easy enough. You could use tweezers to pull these out, but quite frankly, as long as you do them in short steps, they'll come out. I put them on there, I'll pull them out there. Alright, continuing on. It's actually faster doing this than planking from scratch because I've already worked out all my stagger lines. So I basically just got to follow the bouncing ball. There's very little measuring to do. And because I'm not too worried about how they end up at the end here, down the aft section, because basically no one's ever going to see that. You're going to be looking down into this. So the only reason I'm planking towards the end is to give the illusion of depth and, at some point here it's all going to be shadow. Okay, so that one fits in there. So as they go on, the join starts to disappear. So we'll do a few more. This one here is not one of the long ones, unfortunately. There's a long one there. So you can see, unfortunately, I have to pull that out. But I'll reuse these, or actually I've got some waste I'll reuse. Because as I said before, I started planking before priming. Thought I'd get away with not needing to prime. And you do, because, there's all different colours. White, chocolate and yellow. Amazingly all bleed through. Now this happens sometimes. You're going along nicely and it snaps. That's why you don't pull too long. You don't do a big long pull like that. You pull a little bit, get in again, pull a little bit. So you're always keeping the your thumb or your finger there, and that helps them come out. So we go, nice clean extraction. Now I've got some leftover planks from before, which I put on. I only just put them on and then realised I've got that whole bleeding problem. So I'll quickly put those on here, just to plank out the ends, so we can keep going here. They're quite malleable. Okay, and to cut them, and you don't drag because you'll rip all the planks off. You just click down. It's the safest way to do it. You'll get a nice clean edge. Well, this is one that Burner gave me. I thought it was the one the doctor gave me. He gave me a big sharp knife as well, but I believe this is the one that Bernard gave me. So last time he was saying, "What? I'm a doctor." I don't know. I get given so much stuff, I forget. I'm basically flat out remembering what day of the week it is, especially lockdown and not working. I don't know what. Wake up in the morning, yeah, it's just another day. It could be any day. Monday, Saturday, Sunday, public holiday. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay, that was actually not the best plank. It's got a few little nicks in it. I'll see how I go. You can always pull it out. In the early stages, while they haven't been on for very long, they pull out really easily. So, if I decided, no, look, I really don't like that plank, I might use that afterward. I didn't have to get up close because the glue has not had time to really seal. So you can pull them off, but the adhesion's not going to be as good the second time, so you want to use them somewhere where it doesn't matter. So I'll just use that one at the end here. Okay, we'll do one for real this time. I think this one's a better quality plank. Or I might go up to the next one. Don't know. Not normally so worried because most of it's hidden, but this one is digging right into my planking that I've already done. So it needs to look as good as those planks. That one looks better. It's also a slightly different colour too, which is nice, breaks it up. Yeah, I'm glad I did that. Alright, we can sort of see what happens. I basically just keep digging out planks when they go in and following the pattern. Once I've done that, then it's just a matter of butting them on. And if there's any excess, cutting it off. So it's just a simple bit of planking. When I finish, that should look like it's one single piece. No one will ever know that I extended it. A lot of you had commented there was no way for anyone to get down into that gun deck or to get up and down the decks here. So I opened up the gun deck so you can walk through, and there would be companion ways through the hatches so they could get up and down. But here at the stern, yeah, we need ladders. So I've scratch built them. So making one of these tiny little ladders, well, it's not that hard really. First thing you need to do is you measure the height that you're from the deck to the other deck, okay? Don't worry about the railing, just from deck to deck, that's the height you need. And in my case, that deck height was 15 millimetres. 15 millimetres that way. Make sure this thing is squared up to my cutting board. Okay. And 15 millimetres. Okay. Now, this little square, put some diagonals on it. Essentially, we're marking 45 degrees. Alright, except our little ladder, it starts out at 45 degrees, but then it goes to about 70. So how do you work that? Well, it's pretty easy. At this midpoint here, a vertical line, and then halve that distance. And that should be that step. Okay, so that's it. So all you have to do then is a bit of artistic license. Round it off. Okay. Now you'll need all your little insteps to be 2 millimeters. Nice sharp knife. We'll cut that out. And then the ends. That one's going hard up against the bulkhead. This one is going to the floor. It's going to require a little bit of tidying up, that's not hard. You're better off if you made it slightly bigger than you need, because now we'll sand it down. So putting in one of these little forceps type things, okay, I can start sanding away. Now remember, it's 0.5 millimetre, So it doesn't take much to sand it, so see how you go. Take it nice and easy. Okay. It's not bad. That bit's flat anyway, so we can hold that. Won't matter. And we just need a nice even curve. It's always hard to see on the side with all the pencils. There you go. I'm getting a nice curve on that. Now the inside, I'll use one of these little rubber type sponges. So it's giving us a nice little curve there. Now to see that it's working, I mean on this side here without any pencil, you can see straight away, yep, I'm getting the shape. Your pencil side kind of makes it look terrible, so the best idea is just to sand off your pencil. If you've got an eraser, I've lost mine. I have one, I just don't know where it is. It sort of goes between my shipbuilding box for wood ships and my model making box, and somewhere in between it's got lost. Alright, so now we have our little piece, and that will be good enough. It's got to be more perfect on the outside. That inside bit will hardly be seen because you've got all the rungs there. So it's really the outside one. You want to get that as smooth and curvy as possible. You can do a little bit of work to it once it's assembled. It's quite strong once it's assembled, amazingly. Now that should be 6 millimeters wide from memory. 5.5, lost a bit. 6 at the bottom. Now I have all my treads cut out, and I've just sort of fiddled with them a little bit to make sure they're all the same size. I've got 7, that's what I need for this, and it's good to have an odd number, and you'll see why shortly. Right, we won't need the rule. So we'll start on this side, and we'll start at the bottom. So I'll need a thin tweezers, and I'll leave these in order, all my treads, because that's how I shape them and size them, cut. So some of the top might be slightly wider, some of the bottom might be slightly smaller. At least if I'm consistent all the way down, this thing should fit. Now the reason I'm going to put the first and the last, or the top and the bottom treads in first, is it makes it a lot easier to space them, because I found if you start at one end, try and work your way through, you're working such tiny tolerances here, it just doesn't work. I couldn't get them to evenly space. But if I know my first one and my last one, then it's very easy to divide that in half and then maybe thirds with the eye as you go, and you should pretty well get there. You could mark it all, and then you'll have pencil marks all over it that you're going to have a bugger of a job trying to sand. But we can work out where that middle will be simply by placing this halfway through there. So that's where the middle tread needs to go. So that's the next one we'll do now. We'll do that middle one. So that is that one there. Now we'll put the other side on. I know there's only 3, but this is what works. So make sure you got it around the right way. Believe me, it is a lot easier to line them up and get them all nice and straight this way. Okay, let's have a look. Should have 3 that are pretty spot on. Check their level. Okay, let that sit a little bit because those 3 are locked in. Now we've got that set in place, we can start sliding in the other ones. So I'll put them in at the bottom because you can end up with a bit of glue smear. So working from the lowest rung. As you can see, you've got a little bit of wriggle room here. That's why I'm using the Revel contactor. But look, that's pretty good. I won't mess around with that anymore. That is about as good as I'm going to get them with my eyes. And they'll be fine. By the time they're painted up, they'll look terrific. So that is how you make a set of curvy ship steps for a Dutch model. I mean, they're different with other types of ships. But for a Dutch ship, that's what they look like. So that's where I'll leave you this time on the Louis. Did you see my stand? There's the keel stand for it. It's really good. It's really nifty. You don't want to tighten it too much, otherwise it does snap the keel. Yeah, found that out the hard way, but that was easy enough to fix. But she is done. Those ladders are in. I'm pretty happy with that. They will need staining, a wood colour, and I'm still not quite sure how to paint that bulkhead that I've put in there. So I've got a few little things to do, but rather than wait another week for me to get a video out, I thought I'd share with you where I'm up to. And then we'll catch up on all the rest next time. So that's basically it for now. It's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harriet Ennie.